Today I'm here with Benetay from Shrimp Sanctuary. I'll put all his links in the description below, but we're in his small little shrimp room and it's really organized and amazing. Let's have a tour. Let's take a look at what he's got here. So hello Benetay.
Hi. Thanks for having me, I think this is a very interesting opportunity to actually share something outside of the Rio always does the planted tank stuff and things like that. So today we will go through some of these shrimp tanks and our perspective on why some of the shrimp tanks are created the way we do it. And we are always very focused on the family side of things, and we, like for example over here we have my son's tank, which is a Naruto theme tank, and on the flip side we actually have a Hello Kitty tank, which is for my daughter. And these are all the things that they do it themselves. And and here's my daughter.
Just never let me use the stage.
It's okay. And over here, what we are doing here is that we have a tank with Benetay gravel. These are inert gravel, and we now focus on moving the active soil right into the basket. And I'm a lover for 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀 because I like planted tanks, and in the past we have planted tanks as well. And over here you can see that this is just an 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀 with no CO2, and you can actually see that the growth is probably okay, not fantastic, but let them grow slowly using ADA soil, and they can generally be okay in terms of growth.
Yeah, the growth looks really nice for all the plants, and every single tank doesn't have CO2. You can see some of the physidins here are looking amazing, and there's a lot more in the back. Alright.
Yeah, and then we use like hang-on bags on over here. You can actually see that we use hang-on bags, total filters. And any hobbies can actually either they can use sponge filters, they can use hang-on bag filters. It's up to them depending on their budget. And in terms of clarity and beneficial bacteria, this setup would probably be one of the things that we really like to focus on, especially when we are keeping very delicate streams. They prefer a lower pH, and that's the reason why we use active soil. One of the other things that I think we have to point out is that we use a lot of these biofilm balls, and this is their natural food, and that's the reason why we use them because stream graze, they are not fishes. Fishes, when they are hungry, they eat. So when you feed them, they eat the food. But for streams, they actually graze a lot, and that's the reason why we use biofilm balls to actually supplement the biofilm in the tank. Just think about it as like kettles, we free roaming kettles where we have the shepherd or a herder to actually move the herds around across the open plains so that they can consume and not destroy the crops in that area. We also like to use like floating plants like Amazon frog-bits, and one of the reasons for using Amazon frog-bits has a very good indicator of ammonia. Like for example, if there's any ammonia spike, you can actually see that over on this tank has an ammonia spike, and you can actually see the roots difference between this tank and this tank. So on the left side you can actually see that the roots is melted. It's totally melted. And on the right side you can actually see that the tank on the Amazon frog-bits are generally doing well. So the roots you can see is whitish, and it is perpendicular against the main root line.
Yeah, and it has all the fine little hairs. This one doesn't have any of that.
Yeah. So another floater that we actually use is the the red root floaters. And the red root floaters is an indication of what we think is the nitrate level. You can actually see on this tank, the red root floater has is more reddish. The roots are more reddish, which indicates that there are higher nitrates. And the tank on the right would have a slightly not as red roots, which means that there is not much nitrates in the tank when we measure. So these are some good indicators rather than having to measure each and every tank with our test kits with our pans or our dip and all that. And so this observation helps us in understanding the tank better in that sense, to combine both the aquascaping knowledge, the fish keeping knowledge, and then the stream keeping knowledge all into one, to really understand what they are actually kind of like feeling right now. Yeah.
What do you feed your fish, feed your shrimp, other than these? These are the biofilm balls, right?
Yeah, we do feed a couple of other food products, like we use like Breeder Select, and we use this food. And if you can even do a demo right now, you can actually see that how fast they actually come. So we just break a piece, just drop it in, and it will be really fast before they come towards the tank. Just do this, do this. So one of the things is that I've also done a video on this, is that planter tank people do not like algae, like algae walls and algae all over the plants and tanks. And this is one of the example where the stream community is really focusing on. They are thinking about, okay, we need to have like green wall, but it's, in my opinion, not aesthetically as pleasing as a clean tank, a nice tank. And we really, in my opinion, do not really require like green walls, right? Because green wall is just a nutrient imbalance, where you have a lot of nutrients in the water column, and that's where you have your algae growth as well. So you can actually see that the streams over here, they really like the biofilm, and it's their natural food in the wild. So that's the reason why they are always consistently at that area. So as we have dropped the food, I think 30 seconds ago, you can see that over in this tank, there is a crowding of the streams. And yeah, so, but as I've mentioned, streams are grazers, they are not feeders. So which means that they have to graze. It's a natural behavior. They have to graze throughout the entire entire day. And grazing is where we have to switch our feeding methodology, a little bit different from fishes, because fishes, you just drop the food, they consume them. But when we have to create biofilm, we then need to make sure that we are actually feeding the tank to cultivate that biofilm for the streams to actually consume as well. So this is another type of food that we use. And the reason for that is because when we see crowdings like this, and we are looking at sending our streams for competitions, the streams will start to fight against each other for the food. They are like, fighting. It is very nice to watch them, gather them together and take a look. However, it will damage some of their scales, and their body and their antennas and things like that. So that's the reason why we have developed this. We partner with Japanese company to actually develop this to make sure that each and every one of the streams actually consumes one of them. And whenever the streams take one of these pellets, they will not move at all. So we can actually show you this very different behavior when we have this food into the tank.
How big is this room?
This room, I think it's like estimated. If I remember correctly, from here to here, from left to right, it's only 210 cm.
So just above 2 meters.
Just above 2 meters, and this is about 2 meters as well. So maybe it's a 2 by 2 meter type of. And we have like, I think 17 tanks over here.
Yeah.
I believe that having a dedicated space will help, especially if you have a family and to keep your hobby away from the normal day-to-day things. I think that will help communication with your spouse and your kids, so that they don't come knocking in and things like that. And yeah, so having that space actually helps us focus our time and effort, especially when we are doing water changes, so that the kids don't come in and then slip and fall and things like that. So having that dedicated space, I think that will actually help. Coming into, of course, when we keep 𝗂𝘃𝗃 streams, we will then prefer to have a AC. In the past we used chiller, but however, right now we use AC, which in terms of the Singapore perspective, I think it will be much better because the weather is very hot. So having that AC actually helps a lot, both cool the tank and of course cool ourselves as well. Yeah. So in terms of costs and overheads, in terms of the monthly payment and the bills and things, running a chiller does not mean that it's cheaper than an AC. So why not just just go straight to the AC? So if I would have turned back 5 years ago, I would have done AC right at the beginning.
Okay. So you started with chillers.
I started with 2 Arctica chillers, and it was blowing hot air out every time, and we had a lot of issues with that. So over here we can actually see that we use 𝗲𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗀 lights, and we can actually hear the birds chirping outside.
Yeah, this is amazing. We're on the 13th floor right now. You can see the view, has a nice view. Also some carnivorous plants. And some of the water goes to the plants, right?
Yes, that's correct.
You can see there's a sink here. Is RODI?
Just DI.
Oh, just
we
DI.
remove the RO side.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's no wastewater, because in Singapore, water conservation is very important for us.
Yeah.
And using this method, we have 0 TDS water, but it has 0 waste water in it. So that's why we moved to that method.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of lights, we use 𝗲𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗀 for this, but streams do not require like bright lights or anything. They can survive in
Dark.
Dark places. But the lights is more for visual for the plants, and for I think for you to actually see the streams. But if you are not so concerned and you have a budget constraint, definitely you do not need to have strong lights for keeping streams or breeding streams, because there's no correlation between having a 𝗲𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗀 𝗲𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗀 lights and shrimp breeding. Yeah.
What are these shrimp called here?
These are stardust, so we call them stardust. And a lot of times when we look at it on a normal light, it looks normal, okay? And a lot of times when we use lights like 𝗲𝘃𝗃𝗀𝗀, it will then definitely be shining. However, there's another way that we realize that when we shine the lights onto the stream, you can see the drastic difference over here. You can actually see that the spot starts to shine. The spots of the stream starts to really show.
Oh wow.
And if you don't have them, they don't really look as amazing. So these are some of the things that whenever people look at the videos, we have to be cognizant about whether it's that shine, where the lights are shining on the side or from the top. And these are the very original black ninja streams, and this won us the best in show last year in Italy. This is a tank that we have not reset for the last 4 years, and the reason is because we want to let it go, and we do not do any selective breeding here. Of course, the championship stream is not located in this tank, it's over on the other side, but this tank is where we want to show hobbies. When they come, they understand that without selective breeding, the streams will start to show different types of traits, and it may start not to look as nice as what we wanted. Yeah, so this is then another tank where you can actually see the difference between normal without light shining, and then when you have light shining, it looks different, I would say. Different. You can actually see. Yeah, we're gonna get some nice macro later. So the ones that have the spots will definitely be shining.
Okay.
And
why is this tank so empty?
So we just resetted, moved them over here. This is how normally when we want to breed them, and we really want to see their conditions. This is like a breeder setup, really a breeder. There's no plants, no nothing, but it's an option. It's always an option to actually add plants into that. Yeah. So from a selection, it's much easier. So when they start to breed, you can actually move them.
Yeah, and they won't go hiding.
Yeah, they won't go hiding. So that's one of the things.
Okay.
Yeah. So this tank, Snowfall, this is one of the newest shrimps that we have, and they have won a lot of awards as well. And one of the good thing about this is that it is very, I think it's very beautiful in the sense that the spots on the heads and the variety that it will actually produce. And from these ones, we will then start to select the best and then start to have their own tank and line. So this has the same effect.
Yeah, but it's really nice. I like how big some of the echinodoras get as well.
On the bottom side, we are still cycling some of the tanks. On the left side, we are cycling, and this one we're gonna move them. But once the streams are being moved to another tank, we will then reset the tank. So because we want to make sure that at the end of 2025, we have all the tanks with Benetay gravel. So instead of having soil right there.
What's the reason for that? Why?
One of the things is soil compaction. I think that's something that we do not talk a lot in the hobby, because soil compaction involves where the soil starts to get more and more compressed, and the ammonia and all the things are actually being settled at the very bottom. If we don't do gravel vac, then there could have some problem in the future. So instead of using soil at the bottom, why not we just use gravel, and in future we will just do gravel vac on those, and it's simple, it doesn't break down, and it's lifetime.
Okay.
So that's the reason why we are still using the soil, but we're using it in a separate way. We just move it to the basket. Yeah. And over here you can actually look at it. We can also have a very simple scape, or not say, I would say simple scape, like having like a bonsai method where we put a pot and a plant over there, and then we just have the streams. It's also very relaxing, where you can really sit down here and look at the streams and be, all the stress and everything from your day-to-day job, will start to go away. So these two tanks are resetting. We are letting them cycle. We always believe that cycling of the tank is very important. We want a seasoned tank as well. We have let them really go through that entire 30-60 day cycle and then going to maturity. So I think that seasoned tank helps the streams breed faster as well. So everything, the water parameters and all those are very, very important. Yeah. So a lot of selective breeding over here, some crosses that we do. Not as I would say, not as many streams in the tank as what people would like to see. But that is how selective breeding goes one by one. I love plants. I love 𝗲𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀.
Yeah, Echinodoras 𝗲𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀. You also have a very nice lace plant.
Yeah, we have one here, and we have bigger ones over there.
What's your water change routine for all these tanks here? How often and how much do you change water?
Okay, so in general, what we do is that we do a weekly water change when possible. We do 10%, also depending on the bioload. If the bioload is high, we do 15%, 20%. But what we do here, we take this place, this room is still very manual. So we can actually remove the water and water the plants, or we can just put it, drain it away into the sink. We do have a very manual system which is gravity fed that we use. Like for example, if you want to change this tank water, we just have to open up these two valves. You can actually hear that there's water draining from the side because it's all.
Ah, so the water is now draining.
Now it's draining.
Okay.
You can hear the.
Yeah. It's somewhere.
It's somewhere here. It's right here. You can hear it, right? Now it's draining.
Yeah.
And then I turn it off. We will stop. And we will then pump in the DI water directly from here all the way up back there. Back up here using the same valve. So this is just a discharge and this is the in.
Okay.
So these are still very manual way of doing it. Gravity fed. Nothing technological. advanced. So, but this is all possible. From a hobby standpoint, I think this is all possible. So as long as you plan it nicely, your infrastructure plan it nicely, make sure that you plan far ahead and you don't rush into having the tank or streams or everything. So you, in future when you do your water change, it's just a matter of opening a valve and closing a valve. So that helps a lot in terms of time saving, efficiency, and all of those. Yeah. And after we do our water changes, we use DI water, which is 0 TDS, and we remineralize with our own salt. So we have our own salt. It has 2:1 calcium to magnesium ratio. We mix it and we make sure that we have a TDS. So now this is a bit high, and this is also a bit high because these are two new tanks that we started. But normally we will try to be around below 100, so between 85 to 100. So I think that's where we want to play with. And of course, TDS is nothing but the total dissolved solids in the tank, right? But the component that we use is both just magnesium and calcium, and that is what it contains in the GH. So our GH is around 3 to 4. So that's where we want to have them as well. So we also do a lot of pH testing, and the reason is because while Singapore tap water is rather stable, but just having conversations with hobbies, different estates, even the next block, our pH can be drastically different. Ours come out 6.8, some come out 7.7. So there's a big drastic difference in terms of pH and how we actually do our water changes, our setup, and the amount of soil and things like that. So there's a lot of variety involved, or variance involved in the shrimp hobby, and it's very, I would say it's very interesting. If you like this hobby, it's very interesting. Oh, it's like this. It's like it becomes like a science experiment. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Benetay. We're going to check out his even bigger shrimp room now. Make sure to go check out his Instagram, all the links in the description below. Also his YouTube channel if you want more information about shrimp and how to breed them, selective breeding as well. He's a shrimp expert, so make sure to go check him out. See you guys next time.